From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is U.S. Farm Report.
Welcome to U.S. Farm Report this Father's Day weekend. I'm Tyne Morgan, and here's what's in store over the next 60 minutes. Like father, like daughter, a farm transition put into motion early.
So obviously my dad is in the videos, and my dad is always a hit. Like, I don't think I've ever gotten a single negative comment about my dad.
How this 28-year-old is now carrying the 8th generation of their farm into the future. As milk prices tank.
Last year was close to almost $10 difference on the milk price.
Some farmers are even forced to dump milk. Our Farm Journal report looks into the muted mood of the milk markets and the tough reality for dairy farmers today. Drought concerns fuel the grain markets.
This is definitely a bona fide weather market.
And in John's world,
putting CRISPR in the fridge.
producers in the Corn Belt are keeping an eye on the forecast this weekend, looking for any signs that relief from dryness is on the way. That's as drought concerns deepen. Taking a look at the latest root zone moisture map, you can see if we go back 1 month, moisture shortages start to show up in Iowa and in Nebraska and Oklahoma. There are also issues growing in the north central part of the country into Illinois, Michigan, and Indiana. The National Drought Mitigation Center shows the drought now covers 57% of the U.S. corn crop and 51% of soybeans. And topsoils, those across the country, are continuing to get drier. Nationally, 46% of topsoil is reported as being short to very short of moisture. That's up 2 points from last week. Midwest topsoils, those are especially hard hit.
The range in the Midwest is from 35% very short to short in North Dakota, your so-called wettest state in the Midwest, all the way up to 91% in Michigan.
In fact, every Midwest state east of the Mississippi is reporting 70% of its topsoil as being short to very short, and the dryness extends into the mid-Atlantic, with Maryland 96% short to very short. Brad Rippey says dryness is also starting to creep up in the Pacific Northwest. The Federal Reserve announcing its decision to keep interest rates unchanged this week, while also signaling 2 more rate hikes are likely yet this year. The interest rate decision broke a streak of 10 straight meetings where the Fed announced a hike, but they say another 0.5 percentage point hike is likely before the end of the year. The decision to pause the rate hikes this month was due to a slower decline in inflation, but also a stronger than expected economy. But financial experts telling me the rate increase is already having a heavy impact on farm operating costs today. On average, farmers are dealing with an 8.25% prime rate, which is high compared to recent history. Big news for the beef industry this week, with Walmart officially announcing a plan to build a case-ready beef facility in Kansas. It would be built in Olathe, which is actually just down the road from our studios here in Lenexa. The company saying in a release that this would be the first owned and operated case-ready facility. It says it's set to break ground later this year and would create more than 600 Walmart jobs in the Olathe area. Once open, it says the new facility in Kansas will package and distribute a selection of Angus cuts from sustainable beef in North Platte, Nebraska. It would serve stores across the Midwest. The facility is slated to open in 2025. And some good news for exports. West Coast port operators and dock workers have reached a tentative labor agreement. Union leaders releasing a statement saying the 6-year contract covers workers at all 29 West Coast ports. It brings an end to a year-long labor negotiation that at times led to work stoppages that slowed cargo movement. The U.S. Meat Export Federation calling it tremendous news.
A huge percentage of our business, especially value-added chilled business, which is our highest value business for both beef and pork, goes off the West Coast for our Asian markets, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, China. These exporters and importers in these countries rely upon a certainty for stability in terms of their shipping logistics. And before this agreement was reached, there was a large level of uncertainty.
The unions still need to ratify the deal, which could take several weeks, but port operations are expected to return to normal. A big merger in the ag industry. Bungie is officially buying Terra. The combined company will create a trading giant capable of competing with the biggest players in agriculture. They'd be worth a combined $34 billion. It's expected to boost Bungie's grain and softseed handling capacity while expanding origination capabilities in key regions and crops where Bungie is underrepresented. The deal is expected to close in the middle of next year. Canada is joining the U.S. in taking on Mexico's proposed ban on GMO corn. The country says it will join a trade dispute panel over the issue. The panel was officially requested by the U.S. Trade Representative's office earlier this month. That's after ongoing talks with Mexico failed to yield a solution. Mexico has a plan to ban GMO corn for human consumption in the country and possibly from animal feed as well. But the U.S. and Canada say that would damage trade and violate the USMCA agreement. The trade dispute panel could take about half a year to study the complaint before releasing its findings. Well, drought concerns did grow this week, and the seasonal outlook for drought is not promising when it comes to the eastern corn belt. We'll have a check of your forecast coming up next.